Well. Welcome back, basketball fans. The NBA season starts this week. We've got basketball on our TVs, TNT, ESPN. It's going to be on prime time. Get all the boys back. Get the players back. NBA season starts this week. We're welcoming you back to Zero Gravity, Apollo Media's NBA show, brought to you by Big City Wings, Houston's Wing Joint, Apollo's Wing Joint. And go check out Celebrity Mint at celebritymint.com and check out their new Jamal Shed coin and token. It's pretty cool. Go check it out. celebritymint.com. Use code Apollo, HOU at checkout. It's a big deal. Go check out Celebrity Mint. But Josh Garcia, welcome back to the show. Welcome back to basketball season. We're fired up, baby. Fired up.
Oh, yeah. We're here. It cannot come any closer. I'm seeing Anthony Edwards 35 points a game in my future. Nothing else is going to stop me from being happy. And this Western Conference sure isn't either. I'm so happy and excited. I know there's so many amazing teams, so many amazing players here. I can't wait to just fucking get after it, brother. We might be here for an hour and a half. I don't know what's going on right now.
Yeah, so we're previewing the Western Conference today. And if you tuned into our Eastern Conference preview of sadness for 45 minutes, however long that one was, I don't know how we did it, but we did it. We made it that far, and we previewed the Eastern Conference to finally get to our conference, our favorite teams, all in the Western Conference. Doing the Western Conference preview. We've got tiers for you. We tiered out the teams. We're going to preview each team. Get to it. Let's just do it, Let's get after it.
Why not? Yeah.
Gotta love it. Tier 1. It's a pretty obvious tier, if you had to guess. There's a number of teams in here. It's the Western Conference. There's a lot of really good teams. There's not really a lot of bad teams. There's only a couple. There's a couple. No. It's not even half the conference like it was in the Eastern Conference. This is a delight to talk about. Like we were running out of energy in the Eastern Conference towards the end. What am I supposed to say about the Hornets? What am I supposed to say about the Wizards?
We got 45 minutes out of it.
I don't know how we did it.
That was clearly purgatory. It was purgatory, but we're back.
We talked about LaMelo Ball pulling out of the stadium and running red lights in a Lamborghini. That's what we talked about in the Eastern Conference. It's ridiculous. We'll just kick it off with what should be the best team in the Western Conference, the deepest team, the one with the most assets, the most picks over the next decade. It seems like they just have multiple first-round picks forever. I don't know how they did it. Oklahoma City Thunder. I wrote down duh. Like they're the top of tier 1 for the regular season.
No notes.
I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, second in MVP voting last year. Question mark on that, but it's fine. You got the J-Dubs. You got Isaiah Hartenstein, who is now hurt. I think he's out 6 to 8 weeks to start the season, but they'll have him. I mean, in year 2 of Chet, like this team's loaded. They're deep. They got defensive guys. They've got offensive guys. They just kind of got everything that you need to be a really good basketball team, especially in the regular season and especially in a loaded West. And now they've got the center to go along with it. It's an easy pick for top of tier 1.
Yep. Not even close. When I think of the Oklahoma City Thunder, I think of a perfect rebuild. I mean, the Rockets have been doing it for 3 years now, and we're finally starting to see the pieces really come together. But just when you think of a perfect rebuild, of course, the failed ones like the process come to mind. Of course, do you even want to call it a failure? I don't know. We talked too much about the Eastern Conference the other day. I can't do this.
We don't have to do it anymore.
But 65 wins, that is their ceiling in my eyes. I know that the West is loaded, and they're going to be playing about 50 to 55 games in the West already. So it's going to be tough to really surpass 60 wins. We might even see a year like how it was 2 years ago where it's just a bunch of 50-plus win teams and a bunch of like high 40s and then a bad, floor with, the teams that we'll get to in a minute. But when the team is just so incredible with OKC, I mean, this is a perfect rebuild. And the way everything's working right now, I mean, we'll get to the Clippers in a minute, but with Kawhi out for indefinitely, that could be anywhere between a month to 6 months. I mean,
I have no idea.
They might have a chance at Cooper Flagg here. And I know people have mentioned this, but that being said, imagine.
There's no way they have their picks, do they?
Hey, they have the Clippers pick. Yep.
Good for them.
Straight up.
Good for them.
Straight up. It is going to be scary if the Clippers just absolutely, fall off a cliff and let's say get 30 or under wins. And man, OKC could not have it any better right now. That, like I said, there's no reason in hell they cannot get to at least 58 or 60 wins even. And Chet, Shai, the J-Dubs, like the team is so fun. The team is so deep. Like, good for them. They deserve it,
Yeah, I think OKC was in a position last year where they won, 57, 58 games. Like, their 60 wins is totally achievable. And with the Western Conference, you kind of need a center now, and they've got that. Although he's missing for the next month and a half, 2 months, like, he's going to come back. He's going to be a good part of the offense. He's going to be a good part of the defense. Like, he's going to be able to hold his own with that team, and the spacing's incredible. I mean, they're just a really good team. I think ceiling is 65 wins, but I think 60 is achievable for the regular season. I mean, they almost did it last year without Hardenstein, and that was kind of the missing piece that they needed in the playoffs. Regular season wise, 60 wins, easily achievable. The West is incredible, but it's also, I don't, there's going to be a number of 50-win teams. That's where we're at.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot like
Yep.
last year where there was 5 50-win teams. The Mavericks were the last one, I think, and you might be able to get 6, maybe 7. Like, there's going to be a number of 50-win teams this season. It's going to be a bloodbath. Last year, the Denver Nuggets, they were number 2 in the West. They're in tier 1. They have to be with Jokic. He's one of the best players on planet Earth. He's not going to win the MVP this year because voter fatigue will finally hit, I believe. I think there's no way they give him a 4th one, right? Like, there's just
anything's possible, brother.
There is. Their team's worse. They lost KCP. Michael Porter Jr.'s got his contract, but they're not going to give Aaron Gordon his max contract for 150, reported by Shams the other day. And Jamal Murray, I don't trust you anymore at all. Like, it just kind of fell apart. You beat the Lakers. Congrats. You had the 2-game winners against the Lakers, but it's a worse team, but they're still having one of the best players on the planet. So they're going to win 50, 55 games, and they're going to be in the top 4 of the West. Like, that's just what they are. They're a machine. They're good.
No notes. I mean, seriously, like, yes, they did get worse. KCP got his deal. I don't ever see any team ever coming close to paying Aaron Gordon 4 years, 150.
No.
I'd see more so best case scenario, like a Hartenstein deal.
Yeah, 3 for 90, that's 4 for 120, maybe.
And even then, that's like,
a lot.
Oh, this is clearly a rebuilding team. Like, let's say that's like a Pistons deal. That's okay, we got to, move away from Tobias Harris, the ghost of Tobias Harris.
And Tim Hardaway Jr., yeah.
Of course, and just hope for the best. But Denver has the experience. They have volatility. They're going to work it. Everything's going to work itself out there. I don't see in my brain the floor 48 wins, maybe. I mean, they can definitely get to 55. They're going to be a regular season team. They're going to do great. A Western Conference title or a Western Conference appearance doesn't seem too far-fetched this year. I know that, like I said, their depth did get a little worse, but when you have Nikola Jokic on your team, you'll be all right. Like, that is bar none, pretty much the best player in the world, depending on how you look at it. And it's going to be that way for another 4 to 5 years at least. Nikola Jokic is almost 30. This fuckery won't go on for much longer.
It might not. I mean, he might just say 33. He's done. He's going to go play with horses now.
Yep, exactly. He's going to get one more deal and he's out of there.
Yeah, absolutely. Denver's awesome. You know what else is awesome? The Minnesota Timberwolves. I don't know if you've watched it, but the Netflix series Starting 5, I'm absolutely just eating up all of the series from every sport now. Like, the Drive to Survive kind of started it with F1, and then they broke into golf and tennis, and those were entertaining. I love the golf one. I'm a big golf guy. So, the golf one hit really well for me. The NHL one on Amazon Prime, incredible. And then I was like, all right, what are we going to do with basketball? I mean, you got LeBron, Jimmy Butler. You had the guy, like Jason Tatum was on it, unfortunately. So I had to relive what happened this summer a couple of times. Didn't like that. It was in a number of episodes. So it was unfortunate. But the one that was the best was Anthony Edwards. I don't know if you've watched it, but Anthony Edwards is arguably my favorite player in the NBA outside of my favorite team. Like, if I couldn't choose anyone on my favorite team, the Dallas Mavericks, I'm picking Ant. Yeah. He is the quintessential Atlanta kid. Like, he talks exactly like Atlanta guys. He's just vibing. All of his buddies live with him. Like, he doesn't pack his own clothes. Did you know that? He doesn't pack his suitcase for game days. Like, his manager does it for him. He's never packed a suitcase in his life. His mom used to do it growing up. Wow. His sister did it for him growing up after his mom passed away. And now his buddy, his manager, just kind of does it for him. He packs all of his clothes. He doesn't know what he's wearing going on a road trip. Like, he just clothes are in a suitcase and his Xbox. He has 2 suitcases, his clothes and his Xbox suitcase. It's incredible. I love him so much.
Oh, man.
The question is,
he's outsourcing everything. He's outsourcing everything to anyone.
He doesn't do anything. It's awesome. He just wants to play basketball.
Dream life.
The episode where his son or his daughter gets born, like, she's giving birth. He, like, leaves the game at halftime and he gets in the car. He's all sweaty and everything. He gets to the hospital, like, gives his girlfriend a kiss. I was like, "You're doing great." Immediately pulls up his phone and starts watching the game that he just left against the Kings. And then he's getting all his daughter's born, and then they lose. And the daughter's over there getting cleaned off and everything. He's like, fuck, we lost. I was like, I love this guy. I can't help it. He just loves ball
Oh my
more than
god.
anything in his life, and it's awesome.
In order to be a professional athlete, you have to be some form of a sicko. And I hope, of course, we've seen his situations that he's been involved in. He hasn't done anything crazy, but he's definitely done some questionable
Oh,
things.
100%.
You have to be a real sicko to be involved with this shit and to be at the top of your game at all times. I mean, of course, he's going to be funny, he's going to be silly, but like, this is a version of what we view as Mamba mentality in a way. I know this is so corny and so drawn out, especially the years after, Kobe passed. But dude, like the modern NBA player, like we don't get many of these people anymore. Like, of course, there's so much more social media presence with anyone involved in the league, and there's so much more access almost. But when you see and deal and hear with Anthony Edwards, like he's always on some funny shit.
He
And
is.
he's a fucking amazing player to run with it. Like he's so likable and you know not everyone's perfect here, but
No,
damn it, Anthony Edwards is a fun ass player on the
I
court.
love him dearly. Yeah, the question with the Timberwolves now is the trade with Karl Anthony Towns. He goes to New York. They get Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo. Team looks a little bit different. Cat and Randle are, I wouldn't say comparable, but they're the same kind of. They're an offensive first power forward that can kind of shoot. Like Randle's a worse shooter, but can still do it. And then DiVincenzo gives you another piece to space out the floor, which they had a lot of problems with in the playoffs. I don't know. But Ant
It,
is so
it, it,
good. He's what,
yeah,
24?
yeah, exactly. He's such a slow like
Like he turns
Anthony
24
Edwards.
this year, maybe. Like he's
He's
23 right
he's going
now.
to be so fast. Exactly. He's going to be so fast, and we mentioned, like that team is going to be really slow when Anthony Edwards is not on the court. Like if you have like a, let's say, big man's like Nas Reed Randall lineup, like that just seems like hell.
And
But when
Gobert's
you
in there
have Anthony
too.
Edwards, like
Yeah.
exactly Gobert, you have Anthony Edwards kind of balancing that out, and maybe DiVincenzo keeps the spacing trend up like you mentioned. And I don't know, man. Just hopefully something all works out with this team, because I love small market teams not only winning, but small market teams getting to keep their players. It sucks that Cat left, and like we talked about earlier, Cat being in New York, I mean, that's almost a dream for anybody. And when you're a Dominican in New York, brother, the world is your oyster. So good for him, and I hope Julius Randle can play at least 80% of what the player that Cat is, because that trade was clearly lopsided, and obviously the Timberwolves got
It was
a little worse off of it.
a tax trade, yeah.
But yeah, the T-Wolves got a little worse off of it, but hopefully DiVincenzo gives them more value on the back end, and hopefully this team can, again, ceiling 58 to 60, floor 48 to 50.
Yeah.
Hopefully they stay around that range. I want to see the T-Wolves in the playoffs. I want to see smaller market teams in the playoffs. This is what basketball is all about, and we'll get to these tiers in a minute. But seeing these bigger market teams and these teams that have been around, in our faces for the past 10, 15 years, just playing really well, like they're kind of starting to fall off a cliff too. So it's almost, I don't want to say, because the word parity has been thrown out way too hard over the past, really since the Warriors stopped winning championships. But this is good. This is great for the NBA. This is good for fans. This is good for consumers. Like everybody needs. There's so many more niches. There's so many more windows or doors that are opening in the NBA, and opportunities that are just people are going to flourish this year. Like obviously we can make fun of our Scoot Hendersons, we can make fun of our shitty players, whatever the situation is, but for years to come this league will just continue to be getting more and more talented, more and more top heavy, which is good in some cases, but that's the talent is just ridiculous. Like let's just enjoy it, man. Have fun with this West.
It's a blast. I love the T-Wolves. Hated them for 5 games last year, but other than that, I love them. I can't help it. Rounding out tier 1, my Dallas Mavericks. It was a fairly clear tier 1. There's 4 teams that seemingly look better than every other team in the West, or you feel the most comfortable with them. Like you understand that they have a superstar. OKC has Shea, Denver has Jokic, T-Wolves have Ant, the Mavs have Luka. Like you have a top tier superstar on your team, leading your team, and they also have a fairly deep team. All of them do. Like they all have guys that can make shots in important moments, and they can play defense. They can do all the things. So Mavericks, you got Luka, MVP caliber player. Year 2 of Derek Lively, who a lot of OKC fans were a little bit upset about the ESPN rankings that came out last week, the top 100. Derek Lively came in at 56. I think Chet Holmgren was like 32. They're not that far apart, I don't think. But
No,
Chet's a really
there's
good.
different
Yeah,
values.
Chet's a really good offensive player, and he plays pretty good defense. I think Lively's an outstanding defensive player that had
Mhm,
more room to grow on the offensive side. So get
exactly.
year 2 of him, full year of team chemistry. So Gafford and PJ Washington come in at trade deadline. Get the full season with them now. They were the best team in all of basketball last year, except for the Celtics, who won a bajillion games last year. Outside of them, when the trade deadline happened, they went like 28-9 or something like that, or 23-9. Like they were on a tear
Ridiculous.
once they got the full team.
Mhm.
And now Tim Hardaway Jr. is not on my team, and Klay Thompson takes a spot. That is an upgrade. I don't care if Klay is washed. He is significantly better basketball player than Tim Hardaway Jr. And if that's your swap and you add Quentin Grimes to it and you got a little bit more deep, you got a backup center, you got backup ball handlers, you got, I mean, Spencer Dinwiddie's back. The last time he was on the team, Western Conference Finals appearance. People forget.
People forget.
People forget. I don't know. I love the way the team is set up this season. I think the spacing is incredible. I think the defense may have taken a little bit of a hit, but I think it's going to be just fine. Like, Kid can coach defense. I don't know how he can coach the defense with the team that he's given, but with like Kyrie and Luka as being your two guys, and you're counting on them to play defense. But it worked. It worked last year.
It,
I think it's going to work.
yeah, it got them a finals appearance.
Yeah, people forget that they got better and they went to the finals last season. So I think they're comfortably the fourth best team here. We'll see what happens the first couple months of the season, and then we can re-tier them. But yeah, I'm good with my Mavericks here in the top tier.
We'll I'll give you a Josh Power minute here
Yeah,
with the Dallas
go
Mavericks.
for it.
I hate your love for your team, but at the end of the day, your team will always be amazing until they're not. And for right now, this team is amazing. You know, you made the NBA Finals with Tim Hardaway Jr. on your team.
And he
Your
didn't
your
play.
your
They just
sky
benched him.
Your sky. Oh my god, I will never forget, man. I was sitting in Chicago, Illinois, just watching. I think it was a game 3 when they blew out Boston, and Tim Hardaway Jr. was just heat checking
It was
over and
unbelievable.
over.
Yeah.
It was the funniest shit I've ever seen, man. And knowing that he's going to the pit. Oh man,
He
he's going to the
he went
Pistons,
0
man.
and
Oh,
10, 0 for 10 from the field, and Pistons fans were like, "What the fuck is this? Why every time he touches the ball, it's going up?" And I'm like, "Yes, welcome to the Tim Hardaway Jr. experience."
he is a worse Michael Porter Jr. Like he this is incredible that he's been in the league this long. He's had moments though. Like when he's hot, he's hot.
Yeah,
Like we're not saying he's a terrible. I mean,
he had
in the
moments with the
moment right
Knicks where
now,
he
he's
did the
not a
shimmy, like that was cool.
yeah.
He,
Yep.
he, he
Yep.
did. He was all right for the Hawks. Like, he wasn't horrible. Like,
He's been around, man. This is the Ish Smith model. There's a reason why 5+ teams want him. You know what I mean? And with Luca and Kyrie, of course, the team is pretty top heavy. But man, you guys are gonna shoot the fucking lights out.
we're gonna
I
shoot
mean,
like
seriously,
93s a game. It's gonna be incredible.
people are calling Klay Thompson washed when he shoots better than 90% of other fucking 3-point shooters in the NBA. Imagine him with a real set offense again. And I know that those Warriors teams that last year, not great, not fun, not amazing. I didn't like it, but hopefully him being out of that scenery, and of course, it's almost like he's it's almost when we got Justin Verlander. We know he's a
Yeah,
Tiger, but he might stay long enough in Dallas to really have a lifelong impact with the city. And I'm not saying that because obviously he's not in his prime. We can kind of tell. But that being said, he can still move off the ball. He still has pretty quick feet for a shooting guard. I mean, it's a difference between being quick and mobile or mobile.
yeah.
I think he's more mobile, and just man, I'm imagining right now, and you might think I'm a sicko for this. Dwight Powell screens for Klay Thompson coming off to the 3-point line.
No, did
I
you
mean
see
seriously.
it in the preseason? So it was him and Lively on the floor. Not everyone
Yeah.
was playing. Like, Kyrie wasn't playing. Luka hasn't played all preseason. He's been dinged up. But they do a pick and pop, and you think Klay Thompson's about to shoot it. He has a wide open three. Lively just rolls to the rim, and he just hits him right on a dime, and Lively dunks it. I was like, okay, so we have
Oh.
team chemistry already with, like,
hmm
he was a player on one of the best teams we've ever seen, like, arguably the best team that we've ever seen in our lives. Like, those 2017, 2018 Warriors teams were just impeccable. And the spacing and the movement off ball and all that kind of stuff is something that we've been lacking because Tim Hardaway Jr. would just sit in the corner. Thompson's just expertise of being able to move without the ball and get to the right spot and get open. And if he's not going to take the shot, someone else is probably going to be open because Luka, Kyrie, Klay, PJ Washington, who hit a bunch of threes last year, like, the OKC series, you don't win that without PJ Washington just going crazy for 3 games. Like, and now Derek Lively has post moves all of a sudden. Like, he's just good in the post
Fuck.
outside of
Now
just
I'm
dunking.
excited about the Mavericks. Don't tell anybody, but I think I'm a little
I won't.
excited about the
I won't. We're
Mavericks.
bringing back Texas hate, so it's okay. Yeah, but that's tier 1. Mavericks, T-Wolves, Denver, and OKC. It's an impeccable top tier. Love it.
Yep. No notes needed. I mean, you're gonna see a quick drop off here,
Yeah.
but maybe we'll all learn something
Still
here.
some solid teams here, though. So tier 2, it's an interesting tier. You got some teams that are arguably a super team, a team that's trying to be a super team, a young team that had a lot of picks and is rebuilding, and maybe this is the year that they kind of advance, and then a team that was a big letdown last year because of injuries and off the court issues. It's an interesting tier. It's a fun tier. It's terrifying at the same time because, like, the ceilings and the floors are a little bit lower on both ends, but they could also just win 50 plus games. Like, that's the tier we're in. Like, they're going to win 50 games, or they could win 38 games and it just falls off a cliff, and we don't know which one
Yep.
we're going to get. We'll start off
Yep.
with the Phoenix Suns. Obviously, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal. You've got tons of offensive firepower. They added Tyus Jones this offseason, which was an incredible pickup because they needed a point guard more than they needed almost anything on their team. Like, no depth and no point guard. That was a recipe for disaster last year. But they started playing pretty good after the All-Star break last season. They're a good team. They did get swept by the Timberwolves in the playoffs, but as long as Kevin Durant and Devin Booker stay healthy, they're still a really good team. I don't know. Can their defense play anything, and can they stay healthy? That's kind of the question with them.
PU, all around. I think if the Suns are at, around, or under 500 come trade deadline, Devin Booker or Kevin Durant will be dealt.
Yeah.
And I don't even want to say Bradley Beal because it's like, who's going to take on that contract?
Like, and he's got a full no trade.
No one.
Yeah.
No one's going to take that contract. And I know that there was some part of me, again, this all goes back to the big trade of the 4-for-2 picks with the Rockets and the Nets. Like, it all comes back to, oh my God, the Rockets might get Kevin Durant. Oh my God, why would the Rockets need Kevin Durant? You know what I mean?
And why would you want him at his age and all that as well?
Exactly. And if the Rockets, let's say, like, pull the trigger come trade deadline, you're kind of going to be looking at yourself like, sure, we do need that boost. And let's say we're 10 games above 500 at the trade deadline. You want that next big piece. What the fuck what are you going to give up? What are you going to give up for the guy? I mean, seriously, are you going to give up 2 current, like, active rotation players plus 2 to 3 picks? What are we doing here? And the Suns are just in such a question mark mode that, again, like you mentioned, one of these teams could get 55 wins. One of these teams could get 25 wins. This is the big kind of question mark tier where teams should be good, but they might not be good. And this is kind of what I'm feeling towards the Suns. It's like, I'm leaning more so on the not so good side, unless, God willing, everything works out and everyone stays healthy. But even then, it's like, who's your 8th guy on your bench? Who's your 8th guy on your rotation? Who's your 10th guy in your rotation? Who's your 7th guy? Like, there's going to be problems. This team is way too top heavy, and I know I throw that term around a lot, but it's not super teams. This is almost like the 2013-2014 Lakers in a way. It's like, holy shit, all these guys are in one squad and we have one young guy to pair with it, because you'd think that Dwight Howard, being 29, 30 years old at the time, would really make a huge difference. And then you're like, oh, this is what happened? Okay. So Phoenix is tough. It's a tough look. I don't see any real reason for them to have over 50 wins, but also I don't see a reason for them to not just completely abandon even the play-in altogether. Something's got to give here.
No, they should be mid 40s, high 40s, maybe even 50 wins. Like, it's their first, like, actual year together, because Bradley Beal is not coming off an injury to start the season. Like, he's not on the team basically to start. So chemistry's there. They've got offense for days. Can they play enough defense to win games? And can they stay healthy? Because Kevin Durant's older. Bradley Beal is a perpetual injured player, superstar, and Devin Booker's really good, but he's not like Luka or Jokic or a player like that can just carry a team to 50 wins on his own. We've seen it. Like, he was on his team for years and never won anything. It was kind of just there. I don't know. Phoenix is fun. Another team, I'm starting to talk myself into this team. Sacramento Kings.
Oh, I thought you were going to say somebody else.
No.
Keep going.
I'm not going to say that. De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis, pick and roll will feed families. That's what you wrote down. Agreed. Yeah, it's Sabonis is awesome. He's like one of the first players to do certain numbers, and out of whatever years, like the ESPN stats and info page, they just tweet out
The Thaddeus
rankings.
Young stats,
Yeah,
pretty much.
Sabonis has like a bajillion of those. He does triple doubles all the time, and he didn't make the All-Star game, even though he should have. But their team's really good, and then they added De'Aaron Fox to it, which is just like a quiet calmness about De'Aaron about De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis, and then DeRozan. Like you just get DeMar DeRozan in there, and you're like, okay, he's going to score 18 to 26 points a night on a nightly basis from the mid range.
26 is insanity, by the way. I just wanted to say
100%.
that.
But like he could do it on a nightly basis, like in between 18 and 26 points a night. Like I
Sure.
don't hate that. Like he's just going to do mid range he's just going to mid range you to death. And
Yeah.
the spacing is a little bit of an issue, but I like the Kings. They had an off year last year. Just something seemed off, and the West just got really, really good.
Late too.
Yeah. So this team is they're going to be really good. I think. I don't think they're going to be in the play-in. I think they're going to be one of the top 6 teams just because they have enough on offense to do what they need to do in the regular season. Come playoff time, I don't trust them. But regular season, that's what we're talking about. They're in tier 2.
Yeah,
like
exactly. It's a regular season preview. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, here's my 8 to 10 teams that are going to be in the Western Conference playoffs. No, we're not here for that.
Right.
But Sacramento, in of itself, they had this aura, they had this fun team, fun vibe about them. I feel like that's kind of fading away a little bit. But that being said, that doesn't mean that their team's getting worse, though.
Yeah.
I feel like De'Aaron Fox is just so like he's a chill ass player. Like he is fun. He's enjoyable. He's not gonna he doesn't have a certain thing that he does other than being fast as shit. But sometimes you need that. You need like a counterbalance. And I feel like Sabonis, the way he plays, he kind of slows the game down. He's like obviously, let me be clear, way better Şengün. But that being said, Şengün's not too far off. We'll get to them in a minute. But Sabonis is really, really, really enjoyable, man. Like the way he plays the game, it's like it makes you feel like I'm 40 years old. Like, man, this is how they played the game back in my day, man. Shit, I love this league, man. Like that's all it is. And the Kings will win 47 games, and they'll get in the playoffs, and they'll be fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's it. That's it, and that's okay. Like there needs to be teams like that in the league. Like the Rockets for years in the 2000s would just get bounced in the first round, maybe get lucky, go to the second round. I'm thinking 2009 Aaron Brooks versus Kobe Bryant, and all the time I always do this to my coworkers. I'll do the Shane Battier where I'll just like we're acting like we're playing basketball with paper, just throw the hand in the face like Shane Battier. It's incredible that the Kings will be a fun, lasting legacy team for Sacramento people, for Sacramento citizens, and it's good that there is teams like that in our league because it's almost like, would you rather suck every year or would you rather almost get there and then kind of crumble? I mean, I'll take the success because the success is hope, and there's no hope when you're a, let's say, Pistons fan or at the moment like a Nets fan. It's nothing, So the Kings will be good, and they won't be great, but they'll be good, and we need teams like that. So hopefully they feel some form of success in the future.
I like them a lot. Another team in this tier is kind of in the same tier as the Suns. They could be incredible. They could be a tier 1 team by the end of the season easily. Or we could have what we had last season where every single player got hurt that they needed, and it just fell off a wagon. The Memphis Grizzlies. Fun team. Ja Morant is an incredible player to watch. He's a nightly league pass guy. Like, you have him on your TV, you're going to have a fun game to watch. Just because he's an athletic freak. He's fun. He talks shit. All the kids love him. Like, Memphis is a Ja Morant town. It's incredible. Like, I got a buddy that
he needs no security.
I got a buddy that lives in Memphis. He's a big Grizzlies fan. He talks about Ja Morant all the time. He's incredible. However, question marks surrounding injury and health and off the court issues. Can we avoid that for a season? Can we avoid an injury and an off the court issue from this team? I don't know, and that's why they're in tier 2. Their ceiling is incredibly high, 55 plus wins. Their ceiling or their floor they were 13th in the West last year. Like, they could just do that again. I don't know. I need them to stay healthy, and I need them to chill the fuck out in Memphis. I just need them to just stay away from Beale Street. Just please stay away from Beale Street. It's a great time, I will say. I had a tremendous night on Beale Street a few years ago when my buddy got married there. Tremendous time. However, if you're an NBA player, I don't need you on Beale Street ever. I need you to stay
No,
away
no.
the whole time. Just don't go.
This is nope. This is why Austin will never get an NBA team, strictly for that
Yeah,
reason.
you stay off 6th Street and they
Get
can't do
off
it.
six,
Yeah.
brother. It's over. We've had a lot of like early to mid July discussion because the NBA offseason has been pretty delayed because of course in July and August there was the
Yeah.
Olympics, right? We're having like some early July conversations where I've been seeing multiple, let me be clear, threads of people saying, "Oh, is Desmond Bane a top 3 or a top 5 shooting guard in the league?" I'm like,
No,
what are
he's
we
not,
talking about?
but he's great.
He's not. But that being said, shooting guards are of course kind of we're in a weird spot ever since Harden kind of fell off a cliff. It's been a point guard and a forward and a center dominated sport. Um, but no, he's had I don't want to sit here and say inflated stats, but when you're kind of the best option, I'm not even going to say best player, best option on your team at the time, yeah, you're going to chunk up 15 shots a game. Yeah, you're going to score 20 points a game. I mean, that's just how it is. I'm really excited to see how he fits into the offense currently with Ja Morant. I mean, again, going back to the injury situation with Ja, you're seeing the man jump 4 to 5 feet, literally 4 to 5 feet in the air, like it, and fall on and jump off or land on 1 foot. So it's like, how long can we make this? How long can we let this happen? Like, you know what I mean? Something's got to give here. I don't
Yeah.
mean we give him the Russ treatment in regards to, let's say, 5-10 years down the line, he's still in the league, still healthy. Like, he's going to dunk less, whatever, even the D Rose treatment. Sure. Like, I still remember, I think it was 2016 or maybe it was like 2018. D Rose dunked and the whole crowd went crazy. And I was like, man, what a fall from grace.
Vintage D Rose, 7 years
Oh my
after his MVP season. Yeah.
awful. That 1 year wonders like that just get me, and I sure hope Ja Morant will never be one of those because man, he is so fun to watch. I honestly like the gun's legal, man. Allegedly, the gun's legal.
Yes,
Allegedly,
that
like
is a problem.
shouldn't we be celebrating legal gun owning? I'm just saying.
Yeah, he's just exercising his Second Amendment,
There you
and
go.
that's okay.
Salute.
That you can do that all day long. I think he had just been a little bit of a troublemaker off the court, and he fought a kid basically that was a minor and punched him or whatever through a basketball. I don't know what happened. I don't think we ever really will. I think they settled it out of court, and we'll just never know. I think it was that, and then the strip club photos, and then the gun happens, and they're like, "Okay, buddy, you gotta get it under control.
Something's got to give here.
Come on, just work with me." And then they have Marcus Smart, who's he's the quintessential Memphis Grizzly. Like he's Zebo in point guard form, and I love that.
Are we not going to say the second reincarnation of Tony Allen? What's going on here?
I don't know. Kobe said he was like the hardest defensive player he ever played against. I can't say that about Marcus Smart.
I don't think anyone can. He's a great player.
He's fun. Yeah. He talks a lot of shit. He's a great Memphis Grizzly. I'll give him that. And Jaren Jackson Jr. I mean, and then they added Zach Edey to the mix. They got their center that you need just a big boy. You need a 7'1" guy to just, as Charles Barkley would say, banging a dudes down low. You need one of those guys. So Zach Edey's there. He's going to play probably 20 to 28 minutes a game, maybe. He's going to get in foul trouble. He's going to be a rookie. You're going to see all of that. But he's a great big man. Like he's a great big man to have. He's a big body to have down there, and he's a good offensive player. So they're going to be fun. They belong in tier 2 for now. We'll see midseason where we're at off the court and health-wise with the Grizzlies.
Yeah, I remember being old enough when people were threatening to send Zach Edey to China because he had one bad game in college, and now has a pretty good preseason in summer league, and people were like, "Oh my God, this guy's gonna be rookie of the year." He is plus 290 on some sports books that don't sponsor us. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. What are we doing? Like I'm not saying that he's not he's not a good player. He's a good player, but let's pump the brakes a little bit. I know the public is very in on him and very happy and just excited to see another big ass dude because the pendulum swings. Like we've had our Curry fun, but also the Curry fatigue at the same time. Like guards that run around and shoot threes. Like that's why Trae Young will never get the love that he really deserves. Trae Young is an amazing player, but he's doing the Steph Curry method. Even at Oklahoma, he was doing the Steph Curry method. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. He's a great player, but the pendulum's going to swing back. That's why people appreciate the Zebos of the world, the Tim Duncans of the world. And we're going to see more and more players like that. And of course, you know, we'll get to this in a minute, but you have unicorn Victor Wembanyama on the scene that is just transcending he's a positionless guy. And when you add speed and mobility, like really like, it's almost like F1 racers, like, you know how they have to like pull really hard to like move left or right. Like if Victor Wembanyama can just like have stability in the way he runs, the way he jumps, the way he rebounds, like he will be a good player for 15 years. Like, and he will be an amazing player for 15 years. But I love seeing guys like that, Zach Edey, for example. Like I want to see success, especially with big dudes. But let's pump the brakes a little bit. Let the guy have his moment. He's going to be a rookie. He's going to be welcome to the NBA.
Yeah, let's get through
But
November.
yeah, let's get through November 1st. But good for the Grizzlies. Jaren Jackson Jr., hopefully he steps back up big time. I'm really happy to see really there's a 6 starting lineup over there, assuming Edie gets some kind of minutes or let's say starts come December or
I think
January.
he's starting right off the rip. I think it's him, JJJ,
Wow.
Bane,
Yeah.
Morant, and Smart. Like, it's a solid
Oh,
starting lineup. It's a really good starting lineup. Move on
wow.
to the last team in this tier. Your team, the Houston Rockets. Are they primed for another step? The team didn't change that much. Like, you added Reed Shepherd. You got some more spacing. You got some more 3-point shooting off the bench. That's huge. You need that in this league. The next step is getting to the playoffs. Maybe out of the
Yeah.
play-in. Like, they have the potential to be the 6th team in the West or the 5th team in the West. Like, see how the cards shake out and see what happens with your Houston Rockets. What do you got for us?
That's it. I mean, it would be basketball malpractice to not have Reed Shepherd running suicide sprints from the day after he got drafted until the day before the season starts and 20 hours a week after that. If he can move off the ball like we've seen at most times in the preseason or the summer league, if he can move off the ball, if he can continue to just create that spacing where he is just legit, like you've seen how Steph Curry does it over the years. Steph Curry's even like 34, 35, 36, like, and he's still doing it to this day. Like the amount of fatigue or stamina you have to have as like a guard in the league now, if you want to commit to that again, like kind of Steph Curry almost mentality, but more so he's like hybrid because he's moving off the ball. He's a great dribbler. He can finish. He has a 40-inch vertical. Like this is peak young basketball player, and I hope that it all works out. And I know it will in some respects, but the ceiling for this team, it's crazy. The ceiling and the floor are so like neck and neck. I almost feel like the ceiling is 50, the floor is like 44. You know what I mean? It's such a tight window, and I don't really think that because I know the team, kept the same players, ran it back essentially, which is great. Like you want to keep that chemistry. RIP Boban, no more Boban this year. So we're going to be seeing. I'm so used to just seeing like the most insane players from that Rockets rebuild get like 10 minutes a game. Like it's the post like Terrence Jones or post Daniel House method.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So the team is much more refined. The team is much more. I'd almost argue cutthroat. Like we're here to actually compete and win games, and not just kind of finish slowly. Going on the rebuild graph. I'm not going to say this is going to be an Oklahoma City type year where we just finish with 58 and we have all this hope in the world, but there's going to be something here. And if the Rockets don't even make the Rockets will make the play-in, but if the Rockets full on make the standalone playoffs through the first 6 seeds, absolute success. Absolute
absolutely.
success. Jalen Green has looked great in the preseason. He's been getting a lot of play, which is kind of hilarious that you're in year 4 and you're getting like 22 to 25 minutes in a preseason game, but that's neither here nor there.
Yep.
He looked great while doing it, and we'll just focus on the positives. It was like how Cam Whitmore was playing in the summer league this year. I was like, why are you here? Like, what? Like, you don't have to be here, bro. It's okay.
No, I'm fine with Cam Whitmore playing summer league. He didn't play a ton in the NBA last season. He was hurt a good
Right.
portion of it, and just get him more reps, just get him more shots up, like all that. I think the biggest question with this team is, will the lack of extension offers from the Rockets to Alperensengun and Jalen Green matter? Will it affect them on the
Yes.
court? Will it affect their
Yes.
team chemistry? Will it affect how they are in the locker room? Like all those things. I don't know because I don't know the guys. I don't know what their goals are. Like, do they want to be with the Rockets long term and they just want to see this rebuild go through, or do they want a big bag from whoever? The good news is for the Rockets is that there's basically no one with cap space next summer except for the Nets. And if you're just going to take the bag from the Nets, then Godspeed. Have
Like,
fun.
you got it.
But you're also able to just match because they're both going to be restricted free agents because they are. I mean, they're in a weird position because I don't want to dish out $225 million extensions to these guys before I see what year 4 looks like. Shingun,
Yep.
I'm closer on that. Like I'd be like, okay, yeah, I can get that. But do you want to give? He's your best player currently. Do you think
Yes.
he
Yes.
is the best player on a championship caliber team? Like, That is the question. And I don't think
Mhm.
he is right now.
Mhm.
He could be. Maybe he is. Maybe he's better than Sabonis. Maybe he can just carry a team. Maybe he does more Jokic things. Like, it's possible, but we haven't seen that caliber out of Şengün. And then Jalen Green has been the most inconsistent player since he got in the league. He has all the pressure because he's a number 2 overall pick. Like, you got all that going with him. Can we see consistency? Can we see what we saw in March with you, Jalen Green, over the course of a season? Like, you don't have to do it every night, but can you do that every other night for the course of a season? Can
Please.
I have that 41 games a year? Then you're more capable of giving that extension out. So I think that's the biggest stuff with them. Move on. Tier 3. It's a weird tier. A lot of playoff success from a couple of these teams, and then one team that's just always on the fringe of the top 6, top 8. We'll start with the Pelicans. Last season, I don't know, Jim. They got Zion. Can we not be fat for a full season?
Oh,
Sorry, brought it back.
don't let up.
And
Don't let up on
is
Zion.
Brandon Ingram going to get traded? Because CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Zion is not an incredible team by any
Mhm.
standard. But it was
Mhm.
good enough to be 7th in the West last season, and they made it out of the play-in. Sure, I don't like this team. I don't love it at all. They've got
Mhm.
pieces. What happens with them? They're comfortably in tier 3. I can't put them in tier 4, and I can't put them in tier 2. That's where they're at.
That's all we can really say. I mean, honestly, there's really no notes here. We kind of shit on Zion already.
Yeah,
That being said, though, a full Zion being healthy for a year is awesome. And then you look back last year and you're like, oh,
he
he
was pretty
played
much
like a
there
lot
the
of
whole time. Yeah,
he was pretty much there. He just got no coverage from the media because he wasn't sitting there doing fucking 360 dunks. Like he was actually playing the game. I hate to say this, I don't want to sound like an old head, but he
playing
was
the
playing the
right
game like
way.
a real.
Roll
He
that.
was playing the game the right way. Damn it, he was playing like a real basketball
And
player,
in the
and
play-in against the Lakers, he was the best player on the floor, and then he got hurt,
not even
and it
close.
sucked. It
Yep,
sucked that he got
yep,
hurt because I was curious to see what happens against
awful.
OKC the next round, but obviously he doesn't play. So,
Right.
yeah, it's a weird team. It works for the regular season for the most part. They're going to win 40-plus games if they're kind of healthy. I just want to know what they're doing with Brandon Ingram. What are they doing? I have no idea.
Brandon Ingram is such a good player, but it's like he's never going to be a top 10 player. He's never going to be arguably a top 20 player. I mean, it sucks because I don't want to sit here and say these guys are just rotting their career and in New Orleans or anything. Because if given the right pieces, if given the right, I'd almost say like right owner and right space, like oh my god, the sky's the limit for these people. But like just all of these guys on the same team regarding to Zion, Brandon Ingram, McCollum, even like Alvarado, it's like these guys are just so anti vibes at this point that there's nothing to root for with them. There's nothing to not root for. Let me be clear. Like I'm so very indifferent on the New Orleans Pelicans right now, and that's how it's going to be until they win 48 plus games. And I don't
Yeah,
really see that happening this year. I don't really see that happening this year, next year, or really
any year after
any
that for
time
now. No.
from here on out. Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
I don't like them, but they have to be in this tier. Another team that has to be in this tier just because of their 2 players, the Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron and AD. That's literally my notes on this team.
That's it.
Dalton Connect and Austin Reeves, the most dynamic white boy duo of all time. People are saying since the
Hello.
'60s, since black people were allowed in this league, I
Since,
guess.
yeah, there you go. Since Macklemore and Ryan
um,
Lewis, I guess.
yeah, and they really missed the mark by not trying to go get Caruso. They could have just had a big white 3. That would have been sick. That would have been cool for
Yeah.
the white guys here watching NBA.
Yep.
But
You were just oozing, you're foaming out of the mouth.
it would have been awesome. It
At
would have
that
been
idea.
Duke in LA. It would have been awesome.
Fuck no.
But LeBron is going to turn 40 years old this season. Bronny James is on the team, so there's the whole commotion about that. Bronny James is not an NBA caliber player yet, but he is going to play in the first game. Absolutely, he's going to play. Is going to be on the floor. JJ Redick, can he turn from broadcaster, podcaster to head coach? I believe JJ Redick is one of the greatest minds in basketball. Like, he understands the game. He understands how to communicate the game to people that are dumb like me. Can that translate to players that are really smart, like LeBron James, Anthony Davis, some of the best players we've seen in our lives?
Yeah.
Can he command a locker room? And can he do away with his friendship with LeBron that he started last season with the podcast, which rip in peace to that? I hate that he took the job. Like, I'm so sad about it. And now Zach Lowe just doesn't have a podcast right now. Like, what am I supposed to do other than Bill Simmons throughout the season? Um, the Lakers are going to be a good basketball team. Can they not be in the play-in this year? Are they healthy enough to not be in the play-in this year? And are they good enough to not be in the play-in this year? And I
I,
don't think there's a way to even conceive.
no, no,
There's
no.
just no way.
AD and Braun play more than 70 games this year, and
Dalton Connect's
Dalton Connect,
awesome. Austin
yeah,
Reeves can
Dalton Connect just
take
jumps out of
another
the gym.
step. Like, I don't see it.
Yeah, like there would have to be so many more things to go right than so many more things to go wrong. JJ Redick, that podcast was so sick because it's almost like
Good.
you don't okay, and I'm gonna use the complete wrong word here, but I'm just gonna rip it. Like JJ Redick essentially like mansplaining like basketball to LeBron James or Anthony Davis or any other like NBA veteran. It's like, dude, we fucking know. Like
Right.
you don't have to make this sound like you don't have to be like, okay, the X's and the O. Like seeing his coaching style is going to be really interesting, and I'd love to just see him on a primetime game, just 2 to 3 minutes on the sidelines throughout the game, like just figuring it out, because that's the best form of coverage that we've like on-court coverage other than the actual game itself. Like I love that shit. But seeing JJ on the sideline, seeing younger coaches come in, I think that's great for the league. I think that's great for any sport because it gives you motivation, it gives you inspiration. Like work your ass off, and maybe by the time you're 40 there'll be a spot open for you, and hopefully JJ Redick can take advantage of it, because honestly, no matter how dysfunctional the Lakers have been, including even their bubble championship, which is a legit title, I'm not gonna sit here and argue, but I think it's a legit title. Good for JJ. He deserved that. He deserves it more than almost anyone. But like I said, the Lakers job is so just dysfunctional and weird, and Darvin Ham rip. That's so tough, so sad. But maybe JJ Redick will turn it around.
The Netflix series, the first episode is Jason Tatum, LeBron. It's just those two. That's the two that they focus on. They introduced Jimmy Butler a little bit as well, but LeBron, it's like the first week of the season, and they had him on a minutes restriction, and he goes,
"Yeah,
I'm in better shape than all these fuckers. Like I know my body, I know who I am, I know my game. Like I can play 20 more minutes tonight if you wanted me to," and they wouldn't let him play. He was so frustrated, and I'm just like, at this point, LeBron gets whatever he wants. I trust LeBron with my life. I understand what he is going to put on the court night in and night out. He's going to give you 22, 7 and 7, 23, 25, 7 and 7 every night. And he's 40 years old. Just let him do it until the wheels fall off. Like if the wheels fall off this year and it's the retirement tour that we're not going to get, I think he's just going to walk away. I think he might actually do the opposite of what everyone else has done recently, do the Dirk method and like, hey, I'm going to retire the last game of the season, and they do the whole ceremony the last night. But I could also see LeBron being LeBron and needing the whole retirement tour. I don't know which one we're going to get, but I feel like he's going to try to zag while everyone else is zigging with that. So I don't know when the last LeBron year we're going to get is. Like he's been my entire basketball life. I was 7 years old when I started watching basketball on like a fairly nightly basis. 2003. I've had LeBron my entire time. I don't know what I'm going to do without LeBron. It's going to be weird.
Rest in peace, LeBron James, 2003 to 2026.
Yeah.
Welcome back, LeBron James and Anthony Edwards, 2020 until 2038.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Yeah, that's the Lakers. They're going to make the play-in more than likely if they play 55 plus games, the two guys. If they play 55 plus games, they're going to win enough. Whether they do anything after that, I doubt it. And there's going to be a trade this season too. They're going to trade D'Lo, and they're going to do something, and it's going to be ridiculous. And
D'Lo is still a good player. Damn it,
good he is.
He's very beautiful to me.
We have a award show preview coming out tomorrow after you're listening to this. Scapegoat of the year, D'Lo's top 3.
Oh shit! I didn't even know this. No, not at all.
I just came to my brain. He's top. He's in the finalists. But that's the Lakers, the last team in Tier 3, the Golden State Warriors. It's over. They're dead. 41 season.
Bye.
But it's the Steph Curry show. Will he retire a Warrior? Will he end up going to Charlotte in a few years? I don't know. We'll see. No Klay Thompson, and that is the big thing. We haven't seen the Warriors without Klay Thompson in over a decade. Like, Draymond Green can't stop punching people and putting people in headlocks. Can we get that under control? Kuminga doesn't have a contract. Steve Kerr might be the worst head coach in basketball now. after the Olympics. We saw what
Wow.
happened in the Olympics.
We did, and we still won the gold medal, and we're still complaining. Isn't that awesome?
It's the best. I love basketball.
We're just so spoiled. It's like when the Astros lost a couple weeks, like 2 weeks ago, and we were like, "Well, fuck, my life's over."
Yeah,
Even though we've
I just won't
experienced
be watching
greatness for
baseball the
10
rest of
years.
the time. It'll be fine. Yeah, the Warriors are. I don't even know if they're a good team, but they're in this tier. They're a
Yeah,
team. They are a
they're
basketball team that has Steph Curry on it. Good for
they're a
them.
basketball team that are going to get that. They're going to get 35 wins at least, and something will give. Maybe the ghost of James Wiseman might haunt them, and they might. Someone might get hurt, and 25 wins are on the horizon. I don't know what the deal could be, but there's no ceiling for this team because there's just they're probably not going to get into the playoffs. If they do, they'll be a 9 or a 10 seed in the play in, and then just bottom out from there. But I'm not moved on this team. I honestly, the more and more, if we speak on this team for another 2 minutes, like I might go to my closet
I'm
and
good.
get something for
I'm done.
myself.
I don't have anything left to say
Okay.
on the Warriors. They're dead. It's
Perfect.
over.
Perfect. Thank you.
That's fun.
That's all I got.
That's good. Tier 4, one team. One team in tier 4 because we just could not put them in the Moneyball 50-foot pile of shit tier. The San Antonio Spurs have one of the best players in the NBA, Victor Wembanyama. He's fucking incredible. He's terrifying, and I don't want to see what he looks like in 5 years. I have no desire to see what he looks like in 5 years because last year was the worst he'll be at basketball in the NBA until he becomes his last season, maybe. Like, he's just fucking awesome, and I hate it. Chris Paul joins the show in San Antonio, and I was listening to Wendy the other day on a run, and apparently the Chris Paul form of leadership it's a tough one. Obviously, he's hard on guys. He expects you, he yells at you, like expects you to be in the right places at the right time all the time, which is what you should have in a leader. Apparently, he's very hard on that, and apparently Wemby has taken him a liking to it. He likes that style of play. He likes that style of leadership. They have an adult in the room. I don't know if he's like the right adult, but apparently it's working right now. Pop's still your coach. I don't know if Pop's a good coach anymore, but he's still there. This team is only interesting because of Victor Wembanyama.
Absolutely. I mean, it is as top heavy, literally height wise, top heavy as it could be.
Yeah.
But I am just starting to fall in love with Stephon Castle and the way he plays with the game of basketball.
That's an awesome addition. Yeah.
Grown man shit, man. And not only with Chris Paul, it's almost like Chris Paul's going to retire soon. It's like you have that one really cool babysitter or that one really cool family member that stays with you for like 6 months and then just leaves, and you're like, well, damn, what's my life going to look like now? So maybe Wemby thinks kind of that same way. Like, this is going to be one of the more interesting years of my career, at least obviously so far. Let's see what the fuck we can do with it. Chris Paul averaging under 10 assists, even on like, let's say a minutes restriction, like 25 minutes a game. I'm taking the more than or the over, whatever word you want to use. I'm taking that shit because Chris Paul gets 9, 10 assists a game. That dude, we were just saying Trae Young, if he got put on that team, 17 assists a game
doing it
for an entire season. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Spurs team is only fun because of Wemby, but Chris Paul is a great addition. Like, he's only going to play 50 to 55 games probably this season. Like, he's going to have the old man hurt. The other wrinkle is that he signed for $11 million, not the 12.4 TPE exemption. Like, he fits under trade exemptions, and I think that's a big thing to look at because all the teams don't really have cap space, and they need trade exemptions, and they have to trade player for player basically with these giant ass contracts. Chris Paul only having $11 million on his contract, I think that's interesting because if he just plays super well and they're like, all right, Wemby's progressed enough, he's seen a real point guard, we don't need to win this year, we'll just add another pick. Like, I think they have 2 picks this draft, maybe 3. They're just like, fuck it, we'll tank. We'll trade Chris Paul to a contender that needs a point guard or a backup point guard, and it's $11 million. People can do that. Other teams are able to do that. And I think that's the weird wrinkle that you have this season because that contract is not a mistake. Because if he wanted to, he'd go get $20 million from Charlotte or Washington or someone. Like,
of course.
He would be able to get 20 plus from somebody else. Him getting 11 is an interesting wrinkle. So I'm curious to see what happens with that and also what it looks like with a real point guard for Wemby. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be sick.
There's not anyone in the league that, deserves is a strong word, but Victor Wembanyama needs a real point guard, and seeing the shot chuckers, Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, just kind of getting shrunken out of this line. I'm not saying that they're not going to play any minutes this year, but their usage is going to go down pretty heavy.
Yep.
Seeing kind of the fluff get late, like, just you with Chris Paul and Wemby, you're essentially getting like almost 8 to 10% back on field goal percentage alone.
Mhm.
Because when they play bad, like when the Spurs would play bad last year, they would shoot 32, 33% from the field every night. And you're like,
Yeah,
well,
it's bad.
this stinks, man. This truly stinks. One person who I would have loved to see go to the Spurs, of course, Rob Dillingham.
Yeah,
In
we were trying to
that would have been
manifest that.
awesome.
It didn't work.
Mhm. And we're trying to bring back Texas hate, even though I've complimented the Spurs and the Mavericks
Mhm.
almost arguably as much as I have the Rockets
Yeah.
this episode. But man, like our Dilly on that team. Are you kidding me?
It would have
Oh
been
my
sick.
god!
It would have been a blast.
But him on the T Wolves though, that's pretty fun
That's
too.
also a blast. I love that as well.
Yep.
We'll go to the Moneyball 50-foot pile of shit tier. There are 2 teams in this. There are not 6 teams in this, like the East. So much better than the East. This was so enjoyable. Now we get to the rough parts. The Utah Jazz, they're in a rebuild year. They don't even really have a starting 5 that's serviceable. They have Lauri Markkanen. They extended him this offseason, but they did it before some certain deadline, and now he is unable to be traded this season for the entire season. He can't be traded until next offseason.
Awesome.
So he's just stuck there. Danny Ainge was like, I'm going to hold you hostage since I couldn't get like the entire world for you. So
Yeah, 6 first-round picks.
that's what we're going to run with. That's what we're doing, boys. That's what we're yeah. So they suck.
I hate it.
They're terrible, not enjoyable, but they have a sick hockey team. And they were terrible last year, and their hockey team's pretty good this year. It's the same team. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
They play in the same arena. Utah Hockey Club.
Ooh, that's going to be a fun scheduling issue.
Yeah.
Well, if the Mavs and the Stars can do it,
Yeah, a lot of
anybody
teams
can do it.
So, yeah, the Jazz suck. I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
That's really it. Keontae George is sick. Hopefully, get some more reps this year. That's really about it for me. I think that there's a one spot. Have you seen the seat that's in the Utah Stadium, but it's for the hockey club? You're literally like hovering over the ice.
It's the most perfect seat of all time. You have no one in your way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's incredible. But they only do that for the hockey games because of the ice.
Yep.
I think they have to put the glass up and all that kind of stuff. So
that's so damn sick.
Yeah, the Jazz suck. You know who else sucks? The worst team in the West by far, possibly the worst team in the league. Portland Trailblazers. The roster is rudderless. DeAndre Ayton doesn't even enjoy playing basketball. He just wanted money. Scoot Henderson only likes food. But, I mean, what you wrote down is Donovan Clingan, plus 3,000 for Rookie of the Year. I don't know what platform that's on, but I like it. I think that was an awesome pick for him, like the 9th pick or whatever they had.
Yeah,
he fell
great
down.
odds.
That's a great pick. That's a great pickup. Maybe we get a year 2 Scoot bump. I don't know. They suck. They just suck.
I really feel like we'll worry about this next year in year 3 of Zero Gravity. We should definitely start with the shittier teams because finishing it off is just like I feel so bad. Like
you don't get the build up at all.
Yeah, no, it's like
hand up. That's on me.
Yeah, no, that's okay. That's okay. I just can't sit here and physically be able to talk about the Portland Trailblazers without throwing up for more than a minute. I mean, Scoot Henderson in of itself, he will be fine. Like he will be a good player. Not an amazing player right now, at least. He'll be a good player eventually, but just seeing, it sucks, man. Seeing someone fail, it leads people to feel happiness. It leads people to feel something, and I almost feel bad in a way. We were shitting on him all last year, but now that I even told you this pre-show, like now that the Portland Trailblazers are for sure bad team, it's like, damn, you got to feel for the guy. And Ayton is not helping his case at all. I'm telling you, I'm not a betting man. Well, sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. Clinging at plus 3,000, I'm just saying.
That's great odds for a draft that was not good at all. And he's going to have
Clinging should have been.
He's not on.
Clinging should have been 5, dude. It's ridiculous. It's throwing me off.
I mean, he was talked about as one of the top 3 players in the draft.
Yeah,
they thought he was going to go top 3 to one of those teams, but I thought the Rockets could have taken him and traded Şengün and gotten a pile or something. Like they could have done that and just done a 1-for-1 swap, and that's your starting power forward center guy. But yeah, Portland sucks. Utah sucks. That's the Moneyball 50-foot pile of shit tier. I love tiers, dude. Tiering's so fun. It's a blast. I had a blast doing that. That's the Western Conference preview, though. Season starts, I think, a couple of days. We're recording this Sunday, October 20th. So we got season starting a couple nights, and we back again tomorrow with another show, the awards show. We've got 10 awards to pick from, and some of them are made up, and some of them are real. So tune in for that. That was a blast. That was good.
Love it. Love it. We got an hour out of the West, and not only did we get an hour, I felt so engaged and, dare I say, happy.
Yeah.
With the East, you're not getting that. If you're watching a Pistons Wizards game on a Tuesday night,
True sicko.
Seek therapy. But also, I would probably do that too if there was nothing else on.
You watched a lot of Pistons last year, buddy.
But you know what?
You kept texting me, you're like, turn on the Pistons game. I said no. I'm not doing that.
I probably said I texted that to you multiple times. I'm sure
it happened a few times. Yeah, and I was like, no, I won't. I won't do that.
I'm injecting. I'm finding a blood vessel. I'm finding a vein, injecting basketball into my system, brother.
Oh, basketball's so back, baby. I'm so excited. A couple nights.
Also, college basketball is going to be on TNT this year.
Oh, that's a good wrinkle.
There you go.
Okay, more you know. But that's the Western Conference preview on Zero Gravity, Apollo Media's NBA basketball NBA show. You know, we're just vibing out here. Shout out to Big City Wings, Houston's Wing Joint, Apollo's Wing Joint. Go check them out today if you're in the Houston area, and go check out Celebrity Mint at CelebrityMint.com. You've seen the new Jamal Shed coins and tokens and collectibles. Houston legend over on Celebrity Mint, CelebrityMint.com. Use code Apollo HOU at checkout. Shout out to Celebrity Mint. Shout out to Big City Wings. Shout out to the Western Conference. Shout out to basketball being back this week. Shout out to you, Josh. We'll be back very, very soon with the R Award Show.